that will be what the judges will be making their decision on then.
So that's a good thing, right? If they're just going to look at the contract?
Well, so the judge, if they could side with us in that, we're saying no, the judge looked at, what he should have looked at to make that decision. Or, if they decided, or if they sided with Swift, they may come back and ask the judge to, reconsider based on looking at different facts or just looking at the contract or whatever.
Yeah, so the contract pretty much is like that. They said, you're obviously, if you lease an operator, right, that means you can't drive for anybody else. That means I only have to drive for them. So is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so it's funny because there's actually two separate things, and the way that they are written together is really what shows the level of control. So it's the contract that you sign with Swift, to drive for them, and then there's the lease that you sign with IEL to lease the truck from them. And it's really the combination of those two is, what we had been arguing that shows the level of control. And they go together. I mean, so you might be given them and think that it's all the contract, because the page numbers run together as if they're all one document. So what Swift is saying is, the lease part of that, the judge shouldn't have looked at, just the contract part. So, we'll see. The attorneys feel pretty confident in the decision that the judge made back in January, and, how he decided what he would look at to come to that decision. So
yeah, so the judge decided in January that it was in our favor that we would win the case, right? As far as the contract.
Well, it wasn't that we would win the case. It was that the case would stay. It's interesting because he did rule that for the matter of whether or not the case. So what happened was there was a long period of time where Swift was fighting to send the case to arbitration, and we were trying to keep it in the court system. And there was an argument over who was going to decide whether or not it was going to go to arbitration or stay in the court system. In some cases, it's delegated to an arbitrator to decide whether or not it stays in arbitration. So it was finally decided that the judge would decide if it would stay in arbitration, and he made that decision of the class. And whether or not it stays in stays in the court system or goes to arbitration depends on can depend on whether or not a truck driver is considered an independent contractor or an employee. It's under the the Federal Arbitrations Act that regulates what cases go to arbitration and what stay in the court system. A lot of the courts have interpreted if a truck driver that does interstate commerce is an employee, then their claims can't go to arbitration. They have to stay in the court system. And so that's what the judge was deciding on, that specific issue. However, it is helpful to the case, too, in that he looked at that information and came to the determination that the drivers were employees for this purpose of whether or not it would go to arbitration.
When you say arbitration, what does that mean?
So arbitration it's a way of handling disputes outside of the court system. And sometimes there are arbitration clauses written into the contract.
So basically, arbitration means that they won't be what's the word? They don't have to pay. They won't have to pay for what they owe the drivers, pretty much.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. But so arbitration arbitration is something that happens outside of the court system to resolve disputes. And it's complex. So there's and so an arbitrator would hear the case rather than a judge in the court system. And there's different regulations as far as what types of employees can.
Yeah, it sounds like
what
it
kind
sounds
of claims
like
can go to arbitration. But what can happen is it can be broken up into individual cases rather than being brought collectively, which can be really burdensome.
So yeah, we need to stay in the court. We need to stay in the courtroom.
Drivers. So that's what we have been fighting for, and got that. That's why that decision in January was such a good decision, because it was like, for so long we've been fighting this issue, and we, the judge had decided that we could stay in the court system.
Yeah, it's good.
And not have to go to arbitration. So there is continuation of litigation that would like if after this appeal they side with us. It doesn't mean that we have yet won the case, but it means that we can continue litigating it in the court system.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So it's the arbitration issue is kind of it's there's a lot to it, and
so we still so we got about 6 months to another year, or however long it's going to take for them to get back in the room.
Yeah, to hear back about the appeals, and then we can move from there. And then once we know what that decision is, we'll certainly have an update about where the case goes from.
So,
that point.
Like you said, they're trying to appeal the ruling that they had on January, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah,
right.
Based on what the judge looked at to come to his determination. Yep.
All right. So if the appeal doesn't go through and it continues to be, like the judge ruled the first time in January, what's the next step?
So one thing that we haven't gotten to in this case yet, because of other issues that we had to fight, specifically with this arbitration and things being held up. There's something that happens typically early on in a case called conditional certification, and it's where you ask the judge to say, basically say and agree, yes, there is a group of people out there who suffered similar, we're in a similar situation and have similar claims.
With a different company or same company?
No, with the same company. So it would be like, there's a group of owner-operators for Swift who work for IEL who experienced, the various claims in the case. So if the judge certifies that, then we're able to get the judge to approve a notice that goes out to all of those people to let them know that there is a case and to give them the opportunity to join if they want to.
Right.
So that's one thing that happens. And then after that, there's...
That's kind of like what I did already, right? Because I found out...
Yeah, so you found out about the case and joined already. But there may be people out there because...
because they don't know.
We haven't had an official notice period that, it's something that the court has to...
Right.
Give us approval to do, and since we haven't gotten to that point yet,
so let me ask you this: what exactly, like as far as the pay, like, because like I said, they had us paying for the insurance, they had us paying for everything. We were just a glorified company driver, right?
Right.
Now, would they be paying all that money back, or what? How would that go out?
It's I don't even think that we're at the point yet where...
no, I got you. I'm just saying, like, just in hindsight, what are we looking at?
So we certainly ask for, as much as we feel that we can, and just because you ask for something doesn't necessarily mean that you
I understand.
receive it.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
It's, I can't even give an estimate of, what, it all depends on, like, what the if it goes through the court, through litigation.
Right, but this whole court case is all about saying, hey, look, we're just a glorified company driver.
Right.
We were never a lease operator, so if we're a glorified company driver, that means we should get all that. Obviously, this is just saying, hey, we should get all that money back that they took from us.
Right. So so asking for, one of the things we're asking for is a minimum wage claim. So if you were misclassified and you are to be considered an employee, then employees have a right to minimum wage, and we know that a lot of drivers will often receive very low settlements, or sometimes negative.
I was negative.
Yeah. So in those weeks, you weren't even receiving the minimum wage for all hours that you worked. So, we would be asking, after all those deductions came out, so we'd be asking for that payment, for those weeks that you didn't earn at least the minimum wage, asking for that, and then something called liquidated damages, which is basically double that amount because you didn't receive it when you should have received it.
Right.
And then we are asking for everything that came out as a deduction unlawfully, like the fuel and the lease payments and the maintenance costs, but even if we there's just some claims that sometimes are stronger than other claims, and we obviously argue as much as we can for the various claims in the case. There's just never a guarantee as to how much.
Right, I understand.
You'll get back,
but that's the overall that's the overall big picture we fighting for, though, right?
Yeah. So the misclassification issue, that you were really treated as an employee, and as an employee, you're entitled to the minimum wage, which like you had just said, you didn't even receive in various weeks when you may have even owed Swift money. And then, liquidated damages on top of that, which is, like I explained, double that. And then we have other claims in the cases for the, everything that came out unlawfully as a deduction because, an employee wouldn't be charged for the fuel and the lease payments and the maintenance costs. And there's also a forced labor claim, which is for, people who were driving and wanted to leave Swift, but felt like they couldn't because they'd be on the hook for the balance of the lease payments.
Right.
Yeah, so, and so those are, some of the main claims in the case. And so, at this point, it's just hard to say.
No, I got you. It's a process. I got you. I was just checking in with the update to see what was going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. So, keep an eye on the website. We'll certainly post something when we hear back from the. Do you have the website?
No. Give me a second. Let me check.
You don't?
All right, hold up. All right, go ahead. What is it?
So it is. It's just getmansweeney.com.
How you spell that? G-E-T-T?
Getman. And then Sweeney is SWEENEY.com.
Got it.
And you'll find a link on there to go to current cases, and you'll find the Swift case. And then any updates as far as what's going on with the with Swift's appeal, we'll put up there. They might have the attorneys come down for something called oral argument, where they actually present their positions and the judges can ask them questions, and that court puts video up of that, so we'll post that as an update if that does happen. So sounds like you're somebody who might be interested in seeing something like that. So and you can also check out the website.
I see they got Western Express in here too, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we have a case against Western Express as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Lawsuits. They got lawsuits from Kellogg's. They got a lawsuit against anyways, yeah, they got Swift lawsuit right here, but yeah, Western Express too. Western Express, man. So yeah, if you drove for Western Express and you was a lease operator, you need to call them and get on board with them so you'll be in the loop. So when they do win the case, you will get paid. You know what I mean? So their contact number is I'll give you a second. It's 845-255-9370. 845-255-9370. They're in New York, in Kingston, New York. So yeah, if you drove for Swift or you drove for Western Express, you need to call them, and you need to tell them your name. You need to tell them all the information you can. I'm sure you have all the information ready to go, especially if you drove for them, and then just say, hey, look, I was a lease operator. I want my money. I want my motherfucking money. But I know I want my motherfucking money. Shit. Like I said, really you're just the company driver. Point, just straight up. Because you can't, if you're a lease operator, you should be able to go wherever you want to go and drive that truck, whichever company you want. And that's not the case. So I want my fuel costs back. I want my truck payment back. I want all that money back. You know what I'm saying? And you know what she was saying as far as like not being paid. Like I wasn't getting paid. And I would go home and I would think I would get some sort of a couple $100, $100 or some kind of money. I would get zero. And I had just drove 3,000 miles or 2,000 miles or whatever the fuck it was, man, and get paid zero. So it's just like, what the fuck? When you see that, you just ain't stupid. Something ain't right. Something ain't right, man.